Blog Talk Radio.
To the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. Glad to be here on this hump day. Glad to be sitting back here in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. I'm glad to have an opportunity to sit down and have some conversations tonight with my co-host, Mario. Mario, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Glad to be in the studio on this Wednesday, to talk sports and do what we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let them know where they can find you, social media, website, whatever you got going on, and let the listeners know what else you get to do now.
Okay. You can like us on social media at Carolina Sports Plus on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all that good stuff. You can shop with us on CarolinaSportsPlus.com. We got a lot of great things available. Carolina, we'll be going live starting Saturday against Devils and Hurricanes. So we get to, do a little media down there in PNC Arena. Next week we'll be in UNC and Virginia Tech down there at the Dean Dome, and the following week we'll be back at PNC Arena against the Blackhawks, and then we're going to end it at the end of the month against Duke and Wake Forest. So there's a lot of good things going on right now, and glad to be a part of it.
That's just crazy. Like, you go from nothing going on all of a sudden, like, it's just like,
yeah,
that's crazy. I remember the first media I got to do, we started doing this, a lady that worked with me, she was like, we can apply, and we actually paid to get our actual credentials at first, and then realized you didn't have to go through all that. But she's like, we can get our credentials, and we go to NASCAR races or whatever and do media coverage for free, and get the whole experience that. And I'm like, she was one of those ladies that there was a lot of BS with truth sprinkled in there, so you had to kind of pick and choose what you believed and didn't believe. And before she had passed, she did a lot with the 110 Nation. She helped co-host some shows and everything else. Well, we went ahead and applied for credentials, and the first track that came up was Bristol. And so I applied for that, and I actually applied for Atlanta. Both of them are on the SMI platform, and that's where I'll apply for Charlotte when Charlotte comes up for you. And we got approved for the Bristol race. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna go to Bristol. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know if this girl's still full of it. So, like, I brought enough cash to make sure that if I drove all that way and this was not what we thought it was and we couldn't get in, I was still going to be able to buy a ticket to get into the track. And so we get there, and we did the whole media thing, and it was I think we did Friday night, Saturday night. I think we could have done Thursday night. I don't think we realized we could have Thursday night. I forget. And so then we come back, and now I have to make up my hours. This is when I worked at Marco's Pizza before I ended up going to Circle K. And so now I'm trying to catch up on my hours for the week, and then, like, Wednesday hits, and we get approved for Atlanta. And I'm like, shit, man, my my work schedule, I had already planned it where I was kind of heavier towards the end of the week, so I catch up with everything. I had to think about it, and I was like, damn, I might not get another opportunity. So then I end up, like, super loaded, like open to close 2 days straight so I could have all my hours in. And once again, I made sure I had money. We rented a hotel, and it so happened that we got room 110, which was a really cool thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I made sure that long of a drive, and we didn't hardly had any sleep because I had to work open to close like 2 days straight. I made sure I had some money just in case I didn't get in. And then after that, you know, I was a firm believer, and you know, it got to be just like you're getting experience right now, where it just kind of one domino fell, then two, then three, and it just,
yeah. It kind of happened, you know, honestly. You know, like when I first talked to the Carolina Hurricanes, you know, it was kind of like I didn't know what to be honest, you know, I didn't know what they wanted, you know, as far as like emailing. But once I figured out exactly the information they wanted, you know, I got it down nice and short and straight to the point with good references, you know what I mean, especially from UNC and the Carolina Hurricanes. First it was UNC. Then was Carolina Hurricanes, and then I just got the Wake Forest the other night just by hitting them up, just because I know what they want. You know what I mean? As far as the link, the information, and they hit me back. Especially Wake Forest, they hit me back real quick. Honestly, they hit me back that following morning and told me everything was good to go. That they was going to send me, you know, the credentials and parking pass and all that good stuff. But you know, it's kind of like you said, just the downfall. And, you know, it's like an adrenaline rush. I haven't been to any of them yet, you know what I mean? But just the point of knowing, you know, stuff like this can happen, and it's in my lane, and I got, you know, the references and the content to show them, you know, this is what I wouldn't say I do, but this is what, you know what I mean, what goes on over here. So it is definitely a good opportunity. I'm gonna take the best of it.
I'll tell you, the adrenaline will never go away, and I think it's got a lot to do with you're trying to build your brand, you're trying to build the recap brand, you're trying to help build the 110 brand. So you're going into this trying to build. These people have already built what they're doing. They're already athletes. They're already in college making. So this is your opportunity to get your face out and your name. So it's going to be an adrenaline rush. I don't think there has been a single time, and I think I've talked about it on the show with you, where I've gone to a track with media credentials that you went back to cornfields forever and a day, and then there's like two random people at a fence post, and they check your credentials, and you go back into the woods, and then here's this track. Like I still had an adrenaline rush. Like that part will never change. And no matter how much you think it's going to be the same, it is never the same. I have gone to so many things. In all of them, it has been different. I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I think there's like 3 moments that I remember I'll never forget. Like, I got to be there when they put the Tennessee Volunteers and the Virginia Tech Mountaineers, I think that's what they're called, or Cavaliers, whatever Virginia Tech is, or Hokies, I'm sorry. They put that football field in the middle of the Bristol Speedway, and being right there on the field, and it was just, I'll never forget that. I do not like Dale Jr. I love his podcast. Anybody that never listened to the Dale Jr. podcast, if you're a NASCAR fan, I always highly recommend that show. It's a good show. I was there when he won at Martinsville. And at Martinsville, when you win, you get the grandfather clock. And he came in, and we was in the media center. And it was the best 30 minutes in the media center I have ever experienced in my life. It was fun. It was laughing. It was like, as much as I don't like Dale Jr. as a driver, I would have sat and listened to him after a race every time because it was a great time. And there's
he just gave me an idea
chance.
Too, and I kind of blew it too. Yeah, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, just just by listening to you talk, it's kind of like an experience, right? But I kind of messed up. I kind of messed up when you was talking about the 110. I could easily get some good content. I even bought a microphone. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna put 110 logo on it. And you know how you go to the radio. You know how you go news and things like that. You know how you watch the news and a person holding up the microphone and you say what ABC 11. Yeah, I got one of them, and I just got finished making the two that came in the box. But I should have put 110 Nation on it just because when I go there, I could do a lot of good stuff. You know what I mean? And just flip the microphone around to our segment on Wednesdays. You know what I mean? And just focusing on that for like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Since I'm there 2.5 hours early. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna fix that. I might fix that. I'm gonna fix even the shirt. I didn't even think about it until. Listening to you talk. I wasn't trying to interrupt you, but, it's just something came to my mind. I just had to say it.
I would just more going on, just take every time. It's going to be a different experience. And some of the greatest memories, and this is why I kick myself. It's been so long since I've applied to go do anything. And I let so many things, this whole podcast started before the podcast wave. Like, podcasts were brand new. And I can remember the shows we had and the numbers we had and then just everything, life and everything got in the way. And I really kicked myself in the butt because just going to those events, getting away, just like doing the show, getting away from the rest of the world. Like you are at that event, especially like a NASCAR event, because it's a lot of times it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing, or it could be a 2-day. Like I could end up covering 3 series. Like one weekend I covered 3 series or 2 series. I missed the Truck Series race, and because I didn't know it was approved for the Truck Series race, which Bubba Wallace won the race, which I had already had an interview set up the next day, a phone interview set up with him. So like it would have been, but every experience is different, and some of the greatest memories I ever have in my life are just getting to do these things. Like when you get to go, you're just going to be like, I get it.
I could just imagine. I was explaining to somebody that I try to get a tag along. You understand what I'm saying? I tried to, but it didn't work. It didn't work out that way with me. You know what I mean? Each school that I talked to, it wasn't a double team type of action. You know what I mean? I tried each time, and when they say one, that's the only thing I can worry about there. You know what I mean? But I was explaining to them just a memory and a process that I'm gonna have to go through alone. You know what I mean? Just because, at the hockey game, I get to sit down, eat the pregame meal. You know what I mean? Then when they go out there on the ice, course the game, and then after the game is locker room, post game questions. So, it's definitely gonna be something to soak in for sure. But this is a ride that I'm gonna have to go through by myself. So it is gonna be kind of like, dang. But I'm gonna have plenty of content, plenty of things to talk about, most definitely.
I mean, a lot of the events I went to ended up being. So I think the third one that really sticks out was when actually NASCAR, one of the representatives from NASCAR, reached out, and I actually got to write an article for NASCAR.com, and I got to interview David Reagan, which is a driver, and he did sponsorship with the Shriners, and R.J. Mitty from Breaking Bad was there. He was someone that had been to Shriners, and so that's kind of what they were there for, and I got to interview both of them and talk to both of them, and I was like, you're sitting there in front of a TV star and an athlete, and just like, I'm one of those, I try not to be like all nervous and everything, but just like, I'm wearing this 110 shirt trying to, build a brand, and trying to do these things. And like, I know they're just people, but it's just like, it's not so much that I'm nervous because they're an athlete. It's more I'm nervous. I want to do something that makes me not necessarily look bad, but the company, like, what is this joker? What is this 110 fool? Like, what did you just say? Like, So it's just like, I kind of pick and choose. Like the first year that NASCAR did the whole chase, however, I was able to be at the Hall of Fame in Charlotte, and I got to interview everybody in the first round. And like just going from person to person and having these conversations was just wild. But it never just, always in the back of my mind, like I just want to make sure that I put this good representation of, my product, my brand out there. Some of the things I've gotten to see and be around, it's just been crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I'm really focusing on, I'm not going up there, of course, to the hockey game half stepping. You know what I mean? I've been studying hockey for the last couple of days. As far as players and and getting a good feel of it, because it is something totally new for me. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I want to go in there prepared. You know what I mean? I want to go in there prepared to talk about questions, answers, and talk to players just like just like the rest of the other media. You know what I mean? So I've been focusing on that, and I'm gonna study a little harder the next couple of days.
Tell you what, 2 years ago for my birthday, my wife took me to a Columbus Blue Jackets game. And I tell you what, that was some intense stuff. Like that was, I am so ready to go back to a Blue Jacket game. I was never a hockey person, because growing up in Ohio, we didn't have a hockey team before I moved. And then I think it was a little while before you all got the Carolina Hurricanes, so I never really had a team. So hockey wasn't a thing for me. And we had Izzo that was with us for a couple of years, and unfortunately, something to do with diabetes, ended up taking his life. He knew the NHL, and so we had him on every week. He would come on for 30 minutes. We would talk NHL. I love some hockey. I don't understand all the rules, which makes it hard for me at times. I have the same battle with the youngest playing soccer and trying to understand the rules and how an offside even makes sense, because an offside doesn't make sense to me. But there's a lot of rules that I don't understand, so I try my hardest, especially since he's playing it, to understand the sport. But this year was really a learning curve. I didn't know anything about soccer, and none of it made sense. Most of it makes sense now, and I will never agree with the offside penalty. I think that's just the stupidest rule ever. So, but yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to a hockey game, but that was insane to go to.
Yeah, I've been to a couple, right? I've been to I think I've been to one or two. I think I would say two. And they were both Carolina Hurricanes games. But
are the Hurricanes good this year?
Yeah, they're second in their division. They just lost last night to Vancouver, but they just was on a 3-game winning streak. So they're holding their own.
That means it'll be a packed stadium and everything else. I think that was what was great about the Columbus Blue Jacket game, is you felt the energy. Like even we thought we won at the end of the game, and then it ended up being a penalty, so they took the score back. So the place went from being happy and erupting to it didn't count. We go into overtime, and within 5 seconds they score on us, and everybody's pissed off. Like it was so I'm glad that the Hurricanes are doing good, because I think the energy and the fans when it comes to hockey is a big thing, and I really enjoyed that because of that. So that's good.
But definitely excited.
We got
definitely excited.
Go ahead. I bet you. We got a Super Bowl this week, I guess. When you don't have a dog in the fight, I mean, it's hard for me to get excited, and it's nothing got to do with the NFL. It's more of, I just want a close game at this point. I hate to have our Super Bowls like when Dallas beat Buffalo, 55-10, and we watched, was that Seattle or whatever beat Denver 40 or 50-8 or whatever that score was. When I don't have a dog in the fight, that's what I hope for. And it seems like the last couple of years the commercials have really not been that good. But I hope for good commercials, and I hope for a close game. Most years I'm in a football pool, so it really just kind of boils down to what numbers I want. It's what I want the score to be. But not having a dog in the fight, it's hard to get excited about the Super Bowl for me. Like, because I really don't care. I just want to see a good, close game. I think the 49ers are going to win, and that's who I think that's more of because, one, I think they'll win. I just think they're an overall better team. But I pulled for them because my best friend was a 49er or is a 49ers fan. So since I don't have a dog in the fight, I think that's why I'm picking the 49ers. But it's just hard to get motivated to really care about it other than just a close game. I think that's the biggest thing I'm worried about at this point, and it's hard to get excited, is what happens if it's lopsided? What happens if the Chiefs come in and, like, they just have their number and they play like they've played these playoffs, and by halftime everybody's turning the game off because there's no point. Like, it's a blowout. I think that's my biggest fear. I don't think it'll happen. I think these two teams are closely matched, especially from the playoffs on. Obviously, this year has been kind of different for both. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Who you pulling for?
You know, like we talked about all year, you know, as we've been from week one, as we stated, even though Kansas City didn't play at home in the playoffs, we always talked about how, you know, everything runs through Kansas City. You know what I mean? So, but they obviously proved a point. They obviously proved a point by winning on the road this year. And I think I kind of learned my lesson about, you know, going against Mahomes, even though he has lost in the Super Bowl and he already beat the 49ers, even though 49ers is a very different team than they were. I'm kind of leaning on Patrick Mahomes to do his magic. You know what I mean? It all depends, especially it all depends how Brock Purdy comes out and plays. You know, overall, hopefully he don't come out and have the batted balls or the situations where, you know, he can get out the pocket and make good plays. But I think if they keep Purdy in the pocket, I think Purdy's gonna have not a good game. You know what I mean? Just because he has a lot of tip balls and high balls, especially in the playoffs, these games, you know, as far as accuracy. So if they can keep him outside, if they can keep him inside the pocket instead of letting him roll out and have a Deebo Samuel or Kittle just, you know, drag across the field for big plays, you know, it's going to be hard for San Francisco, especially if they can hold down McCaffrey in the running game. But it's going to be a fun game, honestly, I believe. I don't think it's going to be a blow. I don't. You know, I'm in the same boat as you. You know, I don't have a team in the race. Not saying I'm not excited, but I definitely want to catch the Super Bowl just because we talk about sports all the time. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Kansas City. I'm gonna go with Kansas City, even though the 49ers got like the number 2 offense, the number 3 scored off, you know, points per game and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna go Chiefs.
See, I don't know if another part of me not being excited is there's not a single day of the week that I stay up late enough that I would be awake to see the end of the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah,
doing this show from 8 to 10 is the latest I think I stay up any day of the week. Unless once a month I stay up with the oldest and we watch the pay-per-view for wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, I was invited because we're going to Hocking Hills this weekend, and so we're going basically to out in the area where there's some camping and hikes and there are trails and all this stuff. But I was invited when we got back to come to the Super Bowl party with my family. And I was like, look, I'm not going to commit anything because I don't know what time we're going to be back, and I got to unpack and everything else, so I don't want anybody to expect us to bring anything or bring stuff. I think that we're going to make it, and I'm not 100%. And my wife's like, yeah, there's no guarantee you'll even make it to halftime. I said a message about #facts. I don't, that is a struggle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that plays into any of it. Knowing that I'm not even going to, and it's going to suck because if it is a close game, then at what point do I sacrifice sleep and be miserable in the morning? 3 o'clock comes so damn early. So, but anyway, I think we both agree Tom Brady, greatest quarterback all time. Who would you have number 2? I saw a list earlier. They had Joe Montana as Super Bowl wise.
Okay.
They had Tom Brady number 1, Joe Montana number 2. The list had Terry Bradshaw number 3. I think everybody on the panel pretty much put Mahomes at number 3 at that point. Then it was Aikman after that in the top 5. I think John Elway was in there as well. And I might have had those two flipped, Elway and Aikman. Win or lose, unless Mahomes come out and just has one of the worst games ever. Would you agree? Top 3 Super Bowl quarterback?
Yes, most definitely, especially in my lifetime. But, as far as overall with Teddy Bradshaw and all them good players are playing, if you want to, the only way I can go back that far if I go through stats, you understand what I'm saying, as far as yards, completions, and all that good stuff, because I couldn't physically see the game. And if you want to go stats, their stats don't look nothing like Patrick Mahomes. Yes, it is a different time in football, you know what I mean, as far as running and passing, but in my lifetime, I would definitely have a number 3 for sure.
Isn't it kind of odd that all these years we had multiple quarterbacks that were good or whatever? There was really not one quarterback that was the most dominating quarterback ever until Tom Brady. And it's just like, without a blink of an eye, Mahomes took over that spot. Like, I don't know, just weird that we're pretty much saying for like the last 20-something years, Tom Brady was the shit, and now Patrick Mahomes is, and like everybody else is just whatever. Like the everything has been about Mahomes, or everything has been about Brady. Like I can't remember ever there being like a lot of serious conversations or talk about any other quarterback. And the most maybe you might think of is maybe Cam Newton's rookie year, where he had a great year or second year, whatever it was. But I don't even think that was still on that level. Like, I can't remember like there being any other quarterbacks really talked about. Like, it seems like both these quarterbacks is all anybody ever talks about, and we're all okay with it. Like, we do this.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, if somebody just pops in, you know what I mean? You had Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but he only got 1 ring. You know what I mean? So he just popped in. Big Ben got a couple. You know what I mean? He pops in and out during that time. You know what I mean? But like he said, it's all about Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? Especially the last couple years. You know what I mean? Past 10 years. So I could definitely agree.
I guarantee if you asked random 100 people in the street to name 3 or maybe even make it better, 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, I guarantee Mahomes is going to be on every list. I would be shocked.
Yes, he will.
And I could bet you that there's a good chunk of those people probably couldn't even name their own team's quarterback from their own state. But Mahomes would be on everybody's list. Or if you would have asked if prior, Tom Brady would have been at least one of any of the quarterbacks they mentioned. And I guarantee, like, Patrick Mahomes' name is thrown out quick. But I guarantee as you start getting to 3, 4, and 5, you're starting to think a little more. Like, those are not, at the tip of your tongue, where there's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, they're probably Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I drew a blank on. I can see his damn face. Baltimore Ravens quarterback. I can't believe I just drew a blank on his face. Lamar Jackson. I just totally drew a blank. I was trying to get a little bit slower, but I saw this face. Then I saw Trevor Lawrence, but I couldn't think of his name either. I could see his long hair, and I'm like, why can't I think of these players' names? But I guarantee as they start going down that list, the names come out slower and slower. And it's just crazy. Like, it just happened. Like, everything's about Mahomes or everything's about the Chiefs, just like everything was about Tom Brady or everything was about the Patriots. Even to who these people are dating and or whether or not it was underflated balls or Robert Kraft here, or it's just crazy that that's what most of these shows and most of everything is consumed of. And we're just fine, like we just sit around and talk about Mahomes and the Chiefs, or we just sat around and talked about Brady and the Patriots, and that's it. Like that was just life.
Yeah. He's definitely a great already. There's no denying that. That's crazy just because of his age. You know what I mean? 28 years old. You know what I mean? 28 years old, and you're already talking about, if he retires right now, he's already great. You know what I mean? And he still has a long way to go. But
do you think he's going to do you think he's going to beat Tom Brady's numbers?
That's hard. That's hard to do. You know what I mean? He's not even halfway there yet. You know what I mean? So. Hell,
yeah, but he came out. He came out the gate like he's been 4 of the 5 last Super Bowls right out the gate.
Yeah, I know.
Makes you wonder, if it took Brady 20-something years to accomplish everything he accomplished, and I understand there's a big gap, but look what he has done in the first 5 years.
Yeah, I
don't know.
If he stays healthy,
I don't know. It's
yeah.
It's a toughie because, I grew up with watching Brady, so I don't know if I really want to see somebody beat Tom Brady. There's certain things your generation happened, you just don't want to see it because it happened in your generation. You watched it. And regardless if you're a Brady fan or not, unless you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you really don't want to see someone beat someone you watched, regardless if you enjoyed it or you hated it and had to go through hell to watch it. You still watched it. That's part of your generation. You don't want somebody to come by and beat it, and someone be labeled better than what was the best you ever got to have in your lifetime. Why do you want the next generation to have someone better? But
yeah.
I don't know if like I said, I don't want him to do it, but I bar injury, if he plays, if he's able to have a career when it comes to health and injuries like Tom Brady had, then I can't see him not tearing down a lot of the numbers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I totally do.
It's really probably a lot to do with how he maintains himself. We know Tom Brady had a very strict diet and spent a lot of money to be able to play all the years he got to play. And he did that being, the 199th pick overall. I don't know. Mahomes got 15 more years, and as long as he's taking care of his body and his body can handle playing at the level that he's been playing, I don't see that there's no reason why not only does he do it, he does it well before the same time frame. So it's really kind of got to do with how his health, and I think also part of it had to do with how long Andy Reid keeps coaching.
I think. I know earlier in the playoffs, I read an article stating that, some people are predicting in the Chiefs organization that this could be Andy Reid's last year. You know what I mean? But it all depends. It all depends, with Andy Reid too, because I think, I don't know. I don't know. He's Patrick Mahomes. If he stays healthy, and Andy Reid or any good coach, because Patrick Mahomes got it. He got it. He really do.
I think as long as Mahomes is playing and the Chiefs are at least championship, AFC championship contending team, I can't see Andy Reid, bar any health issues, leaving.
Yeah.
Just like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady wrote it the way they did.
Yeah.
I can't see him not right. Because, like, that's your right to possibly be known as the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, imagine somebody dethroning Bill Belichick. So, as long as you're in now, if Mahomes gets injured or quits or whatever, I can't see them ever trading him. If anything does happen, I can see him saying, I'm done. Like, I was just in it for this run. But as long as he's got Mahomes, as long as they can put a team around Mahomes, I can't see Andy Reid saying, I'm going to stop riding this ride. Like, this is an opportunity to go down as the greatest of all-time coaches.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, what else we got going on?
Oh, we definitely got some NBA talk.
What we
how
got?
You feel about how you feel about this 65 game minimum to get MVP awards and things like that, just because of what's going on with Embiid?
I like it. I feel that there was too much. I think that there should be a minimum in order to win awards. So.
Yeah.
I definitely like it. Talking about the NBA, how about the Bucks? Like, ain't they like 1-3 with?
1-4. 1-4. Actually, they're 1-4 after losing last night to the Suns. They definitely got some things going on, especially with Doc Rivers. I understand he's trying to implement a new system, but Lillard didn't play last night. Of course, Giannis had a good game. Middleton got hurt in the first quarter by stepping on. Really, Durant got up under him, and he stepped on Durant's foot after a 3-point shot, so he didn't play anymore. But overall, they look kind of suspect. You bring in Doc Rivers to tighten up the defense, but the defense really ain't tightening up, to be honest. Especially if Lillard's already out, he don't really play no defense no way. That's his MO. He don't fight through screens. He goes under them. So once the point guard goes under the screen, I'm shooting on you. I'm a pump fake on you. You gonna jump and I'm gonna drive the hole. You know what I mean? But they definitely got some things to figure out. Just because it kind of looks sloppy. You fired Griffin, that was second. You was second in the East. You had a lot of momentum, but the only thing you talked about was defense, and then how they fired him, they was looking so far ahead into the playoffs. You know what I mean? That's kind of bad. It just makes the organization look bad, firing a coach like that. Now you're paying 3 coaches this year. You know what I mean? From coaching, you get what I'm saying? It just makes the ownership look bad, and then it kind of trickles down to Giannis, just because Giannis, you can say what you want, and we already know what goes on in NBA, NFL franchises like that, when you got a player that, can really got the organization just, around his fingers, because honestly he do. Even though he signed a big contract, but NBA players a little different now. They can talk about getting traded anytime, or I'm not happy, and what you gonna do about it. But Giannis did have, a saying in the first coach. You know what I mean? They didn't get along. Now you can tell Giannis didn't get along with Griffin, just because of the little stories that came out of him walking and him leaving and not, checking in and out of games. He don't want to come out. He don't want to go in. You know what I mean? So situations like that, he does have a play in it. But now being 1-4 with Doc Rivers, and he's coaching the East just because Boston's coach can't do it in back-to-back years. So now you got a coach that's 1-4, can possibly 1-5 with an All-Star break. Even worse record than that when an All-Star break happens. It's just a little bit too much. I would rather just stay with the coach with Griffin and see how far it can go, and then release him, after the season. But I think they got with the contract with the trade bringing Lillard in this year and having Middleton and Giannis, I kind of figured they're going all in for this year. You know what I mean? They're going all in right now. It has to be fixed this year because ownership wants a championship this year. That's the kind of way I look at it, to be honest with you.
It's just crazy to see them be 30 and 13,
Yep.
and then, or if he's just sitting there like laughing, like that's what y'all get. Like
Yeah.
we were 30 and
That's how I
13
would
second.
be laughing. Yeah, I would. I agree.
Lord have mercy.
Good, interesting things are happening around the NBA. You know, especially around this time, NBA is about to go into a little All-Star break, and after the All-Star break, everybody's gonna try to get turned up. You know, try to make a playoff push. You know, for the springtime. But right now, it's about that college basketball. And college basketball has really been just impressive too, just because you know the plenty of upsets and high-ranking teams having a lot of problems with. You know, low seeds. You know, basketball is getting a little different, especially in college basketball. College sports overall is changing just because of the transfer portal and the opportunities that players got that they didn't have before. You know,
do you think that
you can see
you contribute that the basketball to the portal?
Oh yeah, most definitely. There's most definitely, especially, even though UNC lost against Clemson, but we'll just go UNC, for example. How UNC played last year with Love transferring, going to Arizona. He needed a fresh break, and then who UNC brought in? We brought in Ryan from Notre Dame, then we brought in Ingram from Stanford. Just them two players alone just changed the overall team in Carolina because in college basketball, same way with NBA, but you don't go deep. You know what I mean? You're only playing seven players, seven, most likely 8 players. You know what I mean? That's in the rotation throughout a whole game. But just the portal alone, the 2 players that they brought in from Notre Dame and Stanford are making a huge contribution to UNC, because they're making a lot of plays. If they play bad, Carolina loses, just like last night. Ingram and Ryan didn't have a good game, and we lost, even though Baycock had a good game, going over 20 points with 20 points with more than 10 rebounds. You know what I mean? But college basketball, it is changing. They're really focusing on. It's a lot different. They're trending in the NBA. Besides like Virginia, Wisconsin, teams like that really, hold the ball and play a lot of strong defense. Teams are changing. Teams are changing in college basketball just like they're changing in NBA. It's kind of like, they want to get up as many shots as possible now. Years ago it was kind of like run to the shot clock runs out. If something's open and you're cutting, you're more than welcome to shoot, early in the shot clock. But now they're if you're open, you're shooting it in college and in NBA. But yeah, I would definitely say the transfer portal is making a big thing in basketball and in football, just because they're moving around. They're moving around just like colleges, but that you just don't hear as much just because you got so many different college teams that are good. In football, you only hear the big players. The big players go to big schools in college. Just because there's only a handful of teams that every year that just goes to there and say they have an opportunity to win a championship. In college basketball, it's a little different, just because it's more variety. It's just different. There's athletes everywhere that's going to AAU sports and going to shooting camps. I understand there's people doing the same thing in football, but they're going off to big schools trying to get their basketball. You can get to the NBA and do out of a small school, or you can also win a championship, out of a small school too. Even though Auburn, or you may say Oklahoma, Villanova, you don't want to call them small schools because they're bigger. But if you compare them to college football, they're smaller schools. The NBA, in college basketball, just anybody can win it.
Your Tar Heels are number 3. I guess I ain't got the Buckeyes, but Dayton right here. Our Dayton Flyers are 19-3. They are in the 18th spot. A lot of excitement building in the Dayton area with these Flyers. I know a few years back when the COVID shut down the tournaments, a lot of people had Dayton, I think, coming number 1 out of this on this side of the bracket, and was one of the favored teams. I wasn't sold on them just because based on who they play. It's not like they're playing a bunch of ACC or SEC or even Big Ten teams. So I have not been all in when it comes to Dayton. But traffic-wise, I could tell there's definitely been a change of scenery. I know last Tuesday, the wife came out and helped me with getting the store ready for that audit, and traffic for them coming to and us leaving. It was about the time the game was over. The traffic on 75 was insane because I work about one exit away from the UD arena. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of excitement with Dayton right now.
College basketball is always good around this time. There's just so much excitement just because March Madness is really right around the corner. Conference tournaments are going to be coming up within the next, 2 weeks. And once NBA go to All-Star break, during this time right here, it's always been about college basketball. And college, they put a little bit more effort into it than the NBA. NBA, you get caught lagging around, skipping, and you know what I mean, looking down court. In college, you can't go for that.
Do you have any issues with the bracket?
No. I mean, no. It all.
I think it's just awful odd that it's just awful odd that nobody gives it a thought. Like we're essentially saying the 64th team, best team, because there's 64 teams in the tournament, with the right path and a luck of 5 games, however it takes to get to the championship game, can determine the team's whole season, really its whole recruiting. So you're talking maybe its future for a while, like based on luck of the draw and your path. That, like, it's just insane to me. Nobody questions. Like we're not just putting the best teams. It's not like we're putting the best 20 teams against each other or whatever. Like, there's 64 teams. Like, we're saying...
Or
62, whatever it is.
Part, even one thing about that, though, you have, like, what makes it a little bit better, you have the regular season conference award, which is used North Carolina, for example. If they win the regular season ACC, you get a ring or you get a banner for that, which is, good job. But then you also have the ACC tournament. You know what I mean? If you win, if you're the top seed, all you got to do is win 3 games. You know what I mean? If you win that tournament, you're the ACC tournament.
Is every team in the tournament, no matter what, or do you have to have a certain record? I don't know the stipulations on like the Big Ten. No. In a conference in your conference tournament, you're in there. Whoever's in the conference, you're in there playing. You're telling me a team could technically rest their players for the most part all season, have a horrible season, rest their players while everybody else is playing a bus and wearing themselves down, and come in fresh to the tournament, win the tournament, and go on into the final or the bracket fresher than everybody else, and could win it all by really flopping the whole season?
Yeah, I ain't never think about it like that, but the opportunity is there, but it's just a little bit different in college. In college, you can't really, you won't really, as far as sitting down,
like, and nobody questions
get away with that. Yeah, because you want question. Yeah, you're right. Nobody questions it, but who would? Especially if you're on a team and you're, it's just hard. It's hard to go through. There'll be a lot of people trying to hide it, especially as far as players. If you're good, if you're good and we're losing, you're gonna be out there just because there's a lot on everybody's shoulders. Just because you're good and you want to sit out and you think you're good enough, we can win, 4 or 5 games, in a tournament. That really doesn't, I understand
what if you have a team that there's not what if you have a team that there's not a lot of recruits, a lot of good top players? Maybe you're at best middle of the pack in your own conference, not the whole thing, at best. Is it really that bad to say, you know what, I'm going to let y'all play so y'all stay, in practice. We're not going to put much effort into it. Everybody's going to play. Time is going to be minimum because none of these players are players that is serious thought to being drafted in the NBA. Like, it's just a run-of-the-mill, mediocre team. So, I'm just going to share all your time. You guys are going to play very minimum so you guys still have the rhythm and everything else. We're not even going to try until the tournament. Like, it don't matter what our record is. As long as we win the ACC tournament or the Big Ten tournament, SEC tournament, whatever, we're in. And then we can play at full strength. We won't have injuries. We won't be fatigued. All these other teams that have been playing, hustling, everything else, they're going to be worn down. Players are going to be hurt, injured.
Yeah.
These things, I sit there and think about it. It's like nobody questions. Like, somebody could do it. I like to see someone do it. No, it's not gonna. It's not gonna happen. But that is like the 64th best team. Like, people get so upset, especially with college football. Oh, this team should have been in. I can't believe that they didn't pick that team in the top 4. That team's better than this team. But we don't bat an eye knowing that we allowed the 64th best team in the tournament. It can win it all. Like. Yeah. Yeah. Our whole season could come down to the 64th best team, and people about lose their mind when who got left out this year? Oh, Florida State. Oh, their schedule and everything else to me didn't have them top 4. But if you want to argue the state because they went undefeated top 4, like they lost their mind. And one of the men, the 4th or 5th best team. But we allowed the 64th best team in the tournament, and nobody bats an eye. Like, I don't know. I just think it's funny. That is like the whole football thing. Like, and I've had this discussion. I don't know if I had it with you, if you were on the show when I had this discussion. When a punter kicks the ball and it goes out of bounds, and you watch that referee run up the sideline and determine where he felt it went out of bounds based on the out of bounds line. And nobody questions it. Like, he runs until he wants to stop, and that's all be all. Like, there's no instant replay. There's no question it. There's no nothing. Like, we take this man's word that he can see the angle of a ball in the air and in his peripheral see where it's going out the sideline that's on the ground. We put a lot of confidence in this. And so there's no questioning that. But because you feel that someone touched somebody's helmet too long or something, and and of course you're the defensive, your team's on defense. Oh my God, that was the worst call ever. But we're not going to question whether that ref can look at the air in the air of the ball and the sideline to determine when it actually crossed over out of bounds, and not question it is beyond me. Like, we throw those challenge flags out quick, but there's never once a time I've seen it. I don't think it's ever been questioned. It's ever been challenged on where the ball went out of bounds on a punt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you.
I don't get it. We allow the 64th best team. I love the tournament, don't get me wrong, but just the thought to know that a whole season, a whole 3 games or whatever many games they play in total, could come down to not even top 10 team winning it all. Like that.
Yeah.
And nobody bats an eye on it. Like, we get it wrong, and even when we expand just college football, I think we're 18 to 12 teams starting next year, whatever. I guarantee there's still going to be argument about it. Where they're seated, who still got left out. But once again, don't bat an eye that the 64th best team in college basketball can win the tournament. Like, the arguments of sports fans, nothing will ever top the LeBron and Michael Jordan argument, though. Good Lord.
Yeah, I know. I'll feel you.
A lot of people try to make fun of NASCAR, and I'm glad NASCAR is back this last weekend. We're looking forward to the Daytona 500 coming up, but like they question a lot of things in NASCAR, and it's funny that you all do this or you all do that. It's like y'all allow the 64th best team after an entire season possibly win your championship. I wish the worst team that was ever put in a tournament would win it one year. I wonder if it would change anything. Like, if they wrote out a bracket and you got down to that last team, what I think you're even got to be a play-in to be those last two teams. That's how bad you are. And they end up winning the tournament. I wonder if it would change anything to allow a team that was 64th or even possibly 65th with a play-in or however that works. I don't pay a lot of attention to the play-in stuff because the team never goes anywhere. But what is 1 year, it just like out of nowhere, the play-in team wins and they win the entire tournament.
Yeah.
Like you would kind of be the last, like your 65th best team won your championship, won it all. Like, I don't know, just a crazy thought. You think your Tar Heels will go deep in the playoffs in the tournament?
They bet they should. They better, from not making it last year and not accepting the NIT invitation. And you know they took a big hit on that, but they better. You know, because even though they lost to Clemson, I'm pretty sure they'll probably be a 1 or 2 seed. You know, depending on if they can finish the season off, you know, strong. So they'll definitely be in the tournament. So their road won't get hard till about week 16, maybe. You know, depending on the school. But one thing about college basketball now, you know, if you're in it, especially a tournament and this day and age, you know, it's not like a lot of players are too far off from the big name schools. You know what I mean? Especially, it's a little different in college football. But as far as the basketball, when there's athletes and recruiting and AAU tournaments and, you know, players, you know, different 4 or 5 star players going everywhere instead of going to the top 4 or 5 schools, you know, things can get a little bit different in a tournament. So, with Carolina losing to Clemson, you know, there's going to be worries. And then also losing to Georgia Tech before they beat Duke, you know, anybody can be beat. Do I want them to go deep? Yeah, but could they lose early, honestly? Yeah. You know, they could lose early. But anybody could lose early. But just talk about UNC, yeah. Hopefully they do go deep, but they can get beat too, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they do. They need to.
This whole college basketball, it just fascinates me. I don't know. You just think about all these different things that evolves the whole year, and it's just like the possibilities, I guess, that I think of, just like saying a team could pretty much tank the season, win their conference tournament, and go on and win it all, or 65th best team. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The possibility of things that could happen is just crazy.
Yeah, that's a good theory, though. It really is.
The guys over at Race Chat Live, for anybody that is interested, and I told them you were, Mario, are getting the race pool back up and running.
Okay.
Last year, I think it was Anthony that ended up winning the $110, and we did a couple. I think 3 $25 gift cards throughout the season. Those are random. Those are never guaranteed. I just do random. Whoever accumulates the most points by this or whatever. I do different contests throughout the season, but we do have a $110 jackpot for the winner of the overall. And then I think we also did a gift card we had a bracket of those that didn't make it into the tournament. I think they're hoping to get 3 divisions this year. We had enough to have 2 different sets of teams. I think it was like 7 in each one. I think we had like 14 people last year. So looking forward to that. If you're interested, shoot us an email, mrcjsports@gmail.com. They will be finalizing things in the next day or two. So you gotta get the email to me, and I will find out what information they need to, or what I need to tell you the email to send your picks in and the time frame and all that. But anybody's interested, just hit us up, mrcjsports@gmail.com. I want to throw in make sure I threw that in there. We didn't talk about it last week. Feels we're kind of in that slow slump of the year of the season where
that's where it starts.
The basketball's not got to that tournament. We're almost at in the NBA. We're almost at All-Star. We're on that off week before the Super Bowl. We're still not to spring training. Hockey's still young in their long season to be all wrapped up in that. Like, there's just not a lot going on right now.
Yeah. I agree. It's that downtime, when football's over with, and you gotta start watching movies, just to fill out the day when there was football there, or watching, a volleyball game or a softball game. You know what I mean? So it's about to get there. But yeah, that's how it starts off. With football going to an end. And, would it not cranking up? When you
got bowling on FS1, things are kind of slow.
Yeah.
Because they moved the race, the clash, from Sunday to Saturday due to weather, because it was supposed to be some severe storms and rain coming in on Sunday and lasting, so they would have been able to have the race. They moved it actually a day up. And I turned the TV on over at FS1 because the race was getting ready to start, and they were still bowling, and the wife was like, "How long is this?" And I was like, "What do you mean this?" I thought she was talking about the race I was trying to get to, and she goes, "It's bowling." I said, "Well, they're in the 10th frame. I didn't know you could have overtime." They went into like 5 frames of overtime while we was waiting. So that does let you know that you're in a slow time of the year when bowling's on prime time Saturday night.
Yeah.
Well, since it was an early morning today and early morning tomorrow, if you don't have anything, we might wrap things up early and get some sleep.
To eat. Yeah, most definitely. That's always a good thing, especially for you.
Yeah, I had to drive. I ended up driving the other manager's car, but we drove about an hour, 10 minutes up to Columbus, and helped as they have executive rides and coming up. So we're helping. They're going through the whole remodel stuff like our stores went through last year. So we were there. So I had to get up early so I could get breakfast and everything done at my store so that I could make it to the other store by 6 in the morning. And I didn't get back until it was after 6 o'clock tonight. I was here long to take a shower and catch about half of First Things First. And it looks like next Wednesday I'll be doing the same thing. And then tomorrow getting in there early to try to catch up for being gone all day. So definitely could use that. So once you let them know where you could be found, like what you got coming up, and we'll get things wrapped up.
All right, that'll work. You can catch us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Carolina Sports Plus. You can shop with us at CarolinaSportsPlus.com. We got a lot of good things going on. We'll be back doing fairs and festivals starting in March. So we'll be in Lumberton March 1st and 2nd at Rubber and Lumber. Then we'll be in Fayetteville in April. But you can catch us at some games at the PNC Arena at the Hurricanes game starting Saturday. We'll be doing media. So there's a lot of good things going on. But most definitely check us out.
Don't forget, you guys, to check out our site, www.the110 Nation Sports Radio Network, for all our shows, videos, show schedules, all the platforms you can catch us on. It'll be iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, iTunes, you name it, we're there. Just follow us on those different platforms. Make sure you guys like us on Facebook, 110 Nation Sports. Follow us on Twitter at the 110 Nation. Check out our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Don't forget, catch the closers on Sunday night. I have caught all but the very end of last Sunday's show. It was another great show. I fell asleep probably about 7, 8 o'clock last night, but that's what I was doing. I'm going to be working on video clips promoting different segments of that show. I got different, probably about 5 or 6 different segments timed out already. To where I should get home early enough to start knocking out videos. There's been videos coming out all week this week in different segments of different shows. And then don't forget Tuesday night's Race Chat Live, 8:30 Eastern Time as well. Both shows 8:30, Sunday night show, the closers is 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Race Chat Live Tuesday night, 8:30. And then you can catch us right here, 8 o'clock on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Till next week, you guys have a good one.